Intend to take so much time from you guys, especially to take away the limelight of today. I'm very sure the reason why you are here is because you would like to listen to our panelists on the forum of the day, which is REDEFINE. Nonetheless, what I'm going to deliver is equally important, which is I would like to acknowledge and to thank all of you for being here today. And perhaps along the way to put in one or two points to just give us the rationale why we are here and hopefully make it very clear of where we intend to move together from here today. Yeah. So again, I would like to thank and welcome Yang Berbahagia Datuk-Datuk, Datin-Datin, ladies and gentlemen. I am grateful to we are here and enabled together today in HRD Corp's panel discussion entitled REDEFINE in conjunction with HRD Corp Open Day Sarawak. I would also like to extend my sincerest appreciation to Mr. Chang Chin, the Deputy Director of Prevention, Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission Sarawak, for conducting the corporate liability briefing session earlier and for reminding us in being honest, ethical, and transparent in our daily personal and professional conduct. I would also like to thank our moderator, and Yang Berusaha Dr. Ayla Abdul Latif from the University of Malaysia, Sarawak, UNIMAS, and our panelists, Mr. Clement Lau from GEM Consultancies Sdn Bhd, Tuan Ahmad Rusdi Shamsuddin from WRK Learning Development, and last but not least, Encik Muhammad Shah Rulakma Muhammad Shuib from Advanced Technology Training Center, or in short, AdTech Bintulu. Thank you so much for taking your time to join us and share your experience and expertise at today's session. I think not only me, but the entire group here is really looking forward to hearing from all of you. Thank you also to my colleagues who are in the Senior Leadership Committee and the Secretariat for HRD Corp Open Day today, Sarawak, for making this two-day event possible. For some of you who are returning participants, thank you so much for being here yesterday and also for being here today. And for those of you who have just joined this session for the first time, today is actually the continuity of yesterday with its own blend of remedy. Yeah, so you don't miss much even though you are not here yesterday. For your information, this is our fourth and final open day in this series. A little bit more time, I'm going to touch why these forums is significant that made us go around the country to advocate this message to all our stakeholders. Over the past 2 days, we have organized a series of activities designed to provide updates on our latest initiative and services, offering to our registered training providers as well as trainers and employers and their workforce as well as to the Malaysian public in general. In this juncture, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to divert a bit from my official text. I really appreciate my team for preparing the text, but there's some points that are missing from this. So just bear with me for 1 or 2 minutes. And to this point, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to refer to what the statement made by the World Economic Forum. This organization says the organization around the world need to reskill more than 1 billion people by the year 2030. In fact, I would say that all of us here today agrees and support to this view. Bagaimanapun tuan-tuan dan perempuan yang bagi datuk-datuk, datin-datin, apa yang perlu kita ambil berat di sini bukan cuma sekadar untuk melatih pekerja kita, tetapi kita juga perlu mengambil kira peralihan kematangan proses latihan itu sendiri. Ya, bagi mereka yang telah berada bersama dengan HRD Corp sejak tahun 1993, saya percaya ramai daripada anda masih ingat bagaimana HRD Corp dan ekosistem latihan bermula pada tahun tersebut. Pada tahun 1993, sebaik sahaja Parlimen meluluskan Akta Pembangunan Sumber Manusia 1992 pada masa tersebut, tumpuannya adalah melatih pekerja dalam sektor penghilangan. Dan dalam waktu tersebut, industri masih baru melihat keperluan latihan daripada sudut perundangan ataupun akta. Ramai di antara penghilang dan majikan kita masih terkial-kial bagaimanakah cara menggunakan levy dan di manakah sumber latihan boleh diperolehi. Tetapi tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, peralihan masa telah mendidik industri untuk lebih matang. Dan pada hari ini kita melihat majikan-majikan kita bukan cuma sekadar arif menggunakan dana latihan dan mendapatkan sumber latihan, tetapi mereka juga telah matang untuk menilai apakah hasil daripada latihan tersebut. And this is actually a very encouraging progress that we have seen as far as the learning ecosystem is concerned. We have shied away from just collecting levy and dispersing levy for the purpose of training towards the era where we now know how to measure the return on investment. But ladies and gentlemen, where do we need to move after today? After you are able to measure the return on investment of training based on the Kirkpatrick model and what's not, what's next? What is our next progression? So ladies and gentlemen, today I would like to emphasize to you that in order to train people, we need to ensure that we are clear with our direction. I'm very sure that you are aware of the phrases saying, speed without direction is meaningless. So where are we moving from here today? Now, a few facts that I would like to highlight to you that I think would be able to give you some significant understanding why we need to reset and redefine the way we used to do work, particularly in training. The first fact is that I would like to go back to our national document, which is the Malaysian plan. If you look back the 10 Malaysia plan back then, the target set for Malaysia to have skilled workforce by the year 2015 was 33%. In the same document, we highlighted by the year 2020, we would be achieving at least 50% of our brothers and sisters will fall under the skilled workers category. And later on, when they did the survey in 2010, on the actual number of skilled workers that we had then, it was merely around 27.6%. And then when they did again another survey in 2014, we were merely 25%. And today, the year 2020, when they did another survey to see where do we stand in terms of this number of skilled workers, we dropped again by 24.7%. So ladies and gentlemen, are we nearing to our target? Or are we gapping against our target? The main reason why is this happening, because as long as all our workers do not fall into the three categories of job position highlighted in the MASCO document, which is manager, professional, technician, and associate professionals, as long as they are not holding these three level of positions, they are not categorized as skilled workers. So how can we achieve the target if we are not putting these well-trained people into these job positions? While we ask the industry, why is this happening? The feedback that we are receiving is that because in order for them to recruit these people and hold a high level of position, these individuals not only need to have attended training, but they need to be certified and acknowledged as skilled. And when we look at the data from HRD Corp, I would like to quote the 2019 statistics from our levy that we have approved for training. Because why 2019? Because 2019 was the most successful year that we had before pandemic, right? In this most successful year, we have approved more than 1 million training places. Now the irony is, while the industry is recognizing certification for people to hold the three-level position just now, based on data, we are only seeing less than 4.4% of these individuals who attended training in 2019 are those who attended certification program. And the remaining 95.4% are all non-certification programs. So how do we expect our Malaysians to be able to tap into all these high-paying jobs while these positions are catered for those people who are certified and acknowledged as skilled? So ladies and gentlemen, this is where I would like to go back to my earlier statement. In order for us to move forward to train more than 1 billion people by the year 2030, we also need to take into account the process of training and upskilling that we are providing. So today, why we are here today is to revisit on how we do things. Because apparently, the way we have been doing things does not generate the results that we wanted. The fact, when the survey done in 2010, the number of skilled workers was only 27.6%, and then now it is 24.6%. That means we are reducing in terms of number of skilled workers. As the saying says, doing the same thing again and again and again and expect different result is, you have the words, right? So with that, ladies and gentlemen, today's session that we are going to have with our expert and well-experienced panelists, I believe will open our way of looking things differently. In order to move forward, in order to bring Malaysia to the next level, so that we can climb back and reclaim our position in the economic sector in Asia, we need to change the way we look at training. Yeah? So that's why the session today, the REDEFINE, will open the new pathway for us, especially to my brothers and sisters who are playing your role as our learning partners from the training provider side, as well as our stakeholders, the employers, who are contributing levy to the government through us for the purpose of reusing those levy for training purposes. The both of us, these parties, would be able to come forward together and redefine the way we do things. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, today's forum featuring industry leaders and experts will discuss key issues and trends surrounding the future of work and how it impacts employees, organizations, and training industries as a whole. This is a timely topic, not just for HRD Corp, but also the nation, as we start looking at new and innovative ways to empower Malaysia's talent workforce in post-pandemic digital-first era. To understand what's going on, and to be more importantly, what we can do about it, it is important to consider multiple conversion trends and how we are already changing all aspects of the way we live, we work, we play, and most importantly, we learn. In fact, thanks to technology, schools and higher learning institutions have been able to mitigate the impact of lockdown through online remote learning and virtual classrooms. Moreover, in the last year, students and teachers are realizing that with technology and the power of digital devices, apps and tools can increase engagement, encourage collaboration, sparks innovation, enhance the overall learning experience to students. So with this, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that all of you will take advantage of the initiative that we have rolled out. I also hope that together we can inspire and empower more Malaysians to embrace the culture of lifelong learning and personal development in the future. I also hope that this forum will be a great platform for all stakeholders to share their views and establish strategic relationship while optimizing available resources for the development of nation's human capital. So on behalf of HRD Corp, thank you once again to our panelists and moderators for being part of this REDEFINE forum, and thank you to all participants for joining us. May this be a successful session and will spark learning technology, innovation, and personal development transformation for the years to come. Thank you so much for your participation.
Thank you, Mr. Ronnie, for that speech. I would like you to stay on stage for a while for the next ceremony, which is handing over the token of appreciation. And for that, we'd like to invite once again to the stage Senior Assistant Commissioner Chang Ching, Deputy Director of Prevention, Malaysia Anti-Corruption Commission, MACC Sarawak, to accept our token of appreciation for his effort in taking the time to join us today. And ladies and gentlemen, we would like to request on behalf of MACC to get your feedback on the briefing earlier by scanning the QR code, which is going to be shown on screen. Thank you, Mr. Ronnie, and thank you, Mr. Chang. We shall have the QR code much later when we are ready to show it. Yeah, that's it. So we'd like to get your cooperation to just put one or two sentences there for feedback of the briefing, which is very much appreciated. Thank you once again, Mr. Chang. Ladies and gentlemen, today's industry panel discussion brings together industry captains, leading members of academia, and subject matters experts to share their groundbreaking insights on talent developments and expectations and how to reshape organizations to meet the demands to their rapidly changing environments. Titled REDEFINE, today's discussion aims to inspire Malaysian employers and training providers to become disruptors and change makers who are able to embrace tech-driven human capital development solutions that can deliver real value to their organization and industry. So if you have any questions to our panelists, you may submit via Slido by scanning the QR code displayed on the screen at the moment, and you may submit your questions throughout the duration of the discussion while it is going on, and it will be selected and addressed by the moderator at the end of the session. All right, we shall give a few minutes for the stage to be set up fully. All right, ladies and gentlemen, with that, I would like to invite the moderator for today's session, Dr. Dr. Ayla Abdul Latif, lecturer, University of Malaysia, Sarawak, UNIMAS. Please give her a big round of applause. Next, we'd like to invite our panelists, Mr. Clement Law Lee Wei, Regional Head of Branch, GEM Consultancy, Sundrang Berhad. And Mr. Ahmad Rusdi Shamsuddin, Trainer, WRK Learning Development. And last but not least, Mr. Shah Lulakmar Muhammad Shuib, Assistant Director at Tech Bintulu. So I'm going to check a bit on our moderator, Ms. Ayla. Are you all right to go?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much.
Okay, so I'll hand over the mic to you. And ladies and gentlemen, please, let's redefine your work, redefine yourselves, and redefine your tools as well as your organization. And I will leave you fully to Ms. Ayla to start the session.
Thank you very much to our wonderful MC, Datin Sharifah Syawati. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi. Good morning, everyone. Salam keluarga Malaysia. Salam Ibu Pertiwiku. Okay, we're going to have a very energetic morning after we listen to a lot of thoughts that being shared by our panelists yesterday. For those who are the returning participants this morning, we really welcome your idea, your feedback later on. Okay, before we start, first of all, I would like to thank everyone for coming. Thank you very much. And Datuk-Datuk, Datin-Datin, all the respected guests, respected panelists, and all our guests, and also not being forgotten to our live streaming audience. Thank you very much. Stay tuned with us. So this morning, our topic will be on redefine the future-proofing Malaysia's training industry. Something is very close to us, very related and relevant to all the phases that we are currently facing. Okay, so we would like to congratulate to HRD Corp for initiating this event, because for me, it is the way we want to engage with all the stakeholders. We want to know what we are doing during this recovery phase. So without further ado, let me introduce myself. I'm Ayla Abdulatif, the moderator for today's this session. And with me here, our panelists. Our first panelist will be Mr. Clement Law Liwei, the Regional Head of Branch from GEM Consultancy. He's very, I would say, experienced trainer. I believe most of the Sarawak State government officer knows him because he's the one who in charge of the training for capacity building for all of the graduates program. Okay, so welcome to our session, Mr. Clement. To the second panelist is Mr. Ahmad Rusdi Shamsuddin. He's the trainer from WRK Learning Development. I'm afraid that we couldn't waiting for him to share his experience, because for me, I also waiting for the sharing from him, because of he's the one who's very experienced in NLP, practitioner, coach, and also he worked closely with the National Service Training for over 18 years of experience in conducting training based on experiential learning. Okay, and our last but not least panelist, we have Mr. Muhammad Shahrul Akmal Muhammad Shuib from EdTech Bintulu. Welcome to Kuching. Welcome to our program. And Mr. Shahrul Akmal, he is very experienced in terms of technical learning. So we will be looking forward to hear from his thoughts and what next in terms of the strategy when we talk about learning and training that we want to equip to our employees later on. So without further ado, I think I would like to welcome our first panelist. Maybe it's something much better for us to listen to him in terms of the sharing that he can provide, and maybe you can share a little bit more about yourself later. Okay, welcome, Mr. Clement.
All right, thank you, Ayla. Wonderful mornings. Good morning, TTT trainers. Mornings. Can we give a round of claps? All right. Let me just have a short introduction about myself. I believe I see a lot of familiar faces in the crowds, some from our TTT, some from our employer. So without further ado, I believe for those who just knew about GEM Consultancy, we are one of the TTT certified provider in Sarawak, East Malaysia, and we also do TNA, and also we customize training for corporates in East Malaysia. All right, so just let's share some things about REDEFINE as a training provider, as a TTT trainers, all right? Okay, let's go into it. First, let's see anyone can recall this date or not. Does it mean anything to you? Do you remember this date? This is the date I still can recall very clearly. It's the date actually my lead trainer, Mr. Dominic, on the 17th, he's still doing the TTT in West Malaysia. And then we be announced, on the 18th, we have a lockdown. Oh no, how? He need to fly back. But after we check on the 17th evening, only one flight, which is Malindo. No matter what the cost, we have to fly the trainer back. Because on the 18th, starting on the 18th, is a lockdown. During that times, a lot of us wondering, What should we do? How long is the lockdowns? And from there, actually, it gives us a lot of things for us to see. A lot of things move into what? Online. We go into online meeting, we use MS Teams, we use Cisco Webex. A lot of new things we have to experience. Meetings. But what about training? A lot of people say, physical training cannot do. How? Then should we still wait until when? So this is a time actually, we as a trainer, training provider, TTT trainer, we have to start from scratch. We learn, we unlearn, and we relearn a new technique, how to transfer our content into digital, into online. How to make online not like one way, not webinar, but interactions. How can we do online training more interactive, more fun, more enjoyable? What is the tool? What is the technique we need? So no matter how experienced trainer we have to start from scratch. This is a time when my team, the senior trainers, lead trainer, master trainers, have to start learning digital with our young trainers. Who is the young trainer who have the technical skill, they know how to use digital. They know how to use IT. Why don't we know leverage using their strength? Now they become the trainer teaching us, the experienced trainer, on how to convert our knowledge, methodology, approach into IT, online training. So to share, this is how actually we collaborate with a lot of trainers, not only in Malaysia. A very short clip of video for sharing from one of our participants based in UK, all right? A short video.
I just want to give a quick message. I know we've got a lot of trainers on this call, and I've been training kind of off and on over 25 years of my career. A lot of that career as well was global head of learning and development. I was a senior advisor in the cabinet office. But what I want to say is that this type of session and what David is doing is so critically important for us. I think probably like many of you in terms of being trainers and facilitators, one reason we do this job is we like to engage with people. We like the classroom, we like face-to-face. That's why we love this type of job. But I'm here to tell you that you do not have to lose that because you're going virtual. Once you, get comfortable with the technology, just get comfortable with the technology. And number two, make sure to transition your content to a more virtual delivery. Then number three will happen, and that's the engagement and that's the enjoyment. You will see that you are able to engage and communicate and just really use this type of virtual platform to still have fun, to still engage with your participants. So that's what I'm doing. I'm on a learning curve, just like all of you, just like David. Thank goodness David is doing these type of sessions for us, because we're all on a journey. And I just want to tell all of you, just hang in there, learn the technology, transform your content, and I promise you, you will enjoy the engagement just as much, sometimes even more than in the classroom.
All right, just to share, recall what he said. A lot of trainers, we love the engagements, physical engagement with the crowds, with the participants, because we can see their reactions. But through Zoom, through MS Teams, we can't see that, because the main purpose is they don't on their webcam. This is, no matter how experienced trainer you are, we always face this problem. So as a trainer, how should we overcome this? We make them feel lose out if they don't open the webcam. We do activity, we do game. If you don't open the cam, how should we know you are there? We cannot treat them like kids, but we let them know what is the purpose and what will you lose out if you don't have a webcam there. Because trainings, engagements, we need to see your face expressions and communicate. All right, so just to have a joke, I believe all of you, majority of you, will miss this. During the Zoom sessions, we always wear the upper half formal. The lower bottom is comfortable. Our short, our PJs, wow, the good times. But time flying now, everything got bad. Zoom is getting lesser. So now to recall as a trainer, Do you see this graph? What the significance of this graph? We cannot deny the growth in technology, IR4, is having a very steep growth. No matter how, as a trainer, as a training provider, if you don't incorporate trainings with IR4, with technologies, you will lose out a lot of opportunities. But if you can convert your content and make the virtual online sessions as fun, as engaging as the physical one, there is a lot of opportunity. Like what I shared just now, the speaker from UK actually can collaborate with us. The limitless is there. Borderless, we don't have to worry to fly to Singapore or Brunei or Indonesia. We don't have to worry about anything about flights, costing. We can do our online sessions anytime, follow the different time zone. So if you as a trainer, as a training provider, if you can adapt and enhance your skill in online trainings, a lot of opportunity is there outside of Malaysia. And last, always remember how to integrate and enhance our training deliveries. Of course, always use and work together with the young trainers. They are the ones who are excels and very good in ITs, all right? Always, a lot of trainers always call us and ask us during the pandemic until today. They ask us, so many competitors is getting more and more. Training industry is more and more challenging because customers are not ready for Zoom. Customers still cannot adapt with Zoom. They don't have the equipment, they don't have the training room with webcam, with stable line. So how? I always tell them, if you really want to venture, you want to use your TTT accreditor as a trainer, you want to set up a training provider, always find your own strength. How can you show your strength to your clients? How can you enhance your strength? Always remember, I always tell them, Stephen Covey always tell us the habit 7, sharpening your soul. In trainer nowadays, the soul might not applicable. Always remember to enhance your computer and mouse skill because we really need that. No matter how good you are, if you are not well versed with computer and mouse, then you will lose a lot of opportunity. Always showcase your strength as a trainer. What's the differences you have between the others? For example, like in Sarawak, you want to find a safety training driving skill, you know who? MRS. For example, soft skill, NLP training, you find who? Rusdi. And then if let's say you want to find safety, TVET training, you know who? Mr. Shah. So this is our strengths. We work on our strength to collaborate and don't always become competitor. Because this is how you actually showcase what is your niche. We become specialized in one content, in one program. Don't always become the Roja. Everything you can do, yes, I can do. Everything, health, I can do. Grooming, I can do. Then, what is your niche? What is your specialties? So as a trainer, as a training provider, you always need to enhance your strength and showcase to your clients. Last, this is my second last slide. As a training providers, providing solution is just too normal, never enough. If you don't have a value that you can add on to your trainings, add on to your participants, add value to your employer, to your clients, they won't find you useful at the moment. Things are changes very, very fast. You cannot use the same content, same technique, same methodology the 5 years or 1 year ago. Everything changed too fast. Technology is changing fast. Like what the speaker yesterday, the reset, already told us, skill set have to change starting now. People need to handle more and more machine. Job have to be upgraded. Skill set have to be upgraded. No matter how good is your technical skill, soft skill, interpersonal skill, management skill still required. So this is how we have to show and add value to our clients through training. Don't only transfer the knowledge without showing them how to apply, how to use the application at workplace, and how they can add value as an employer to your company. This is how we need to educate and nourish through training. Last slide from mine. As GEM Consultancy, we always share these quotes, lifelong learning. No matter how good or how experienced trainer you are in the industry, always remember good is never good enough. when better is there, all right? So always remember to learn and restrain and always see where can you do better than yesterday or last month. Every training, we always find improvement. Where can we enhance and do better for our clients? All right, that's all from me. Thank you. Wonderful.
Thank you very much, Mr. Clement. That one is, I would say, very fast, very energetic, starting for all of us. What I can recap from the keywords that are shared by Mr. Clement just now is about the culture, the digital culture nowadays that we should take into account in everything that we are doing. If we are the employer or if we are the employee, we have to see how we can play our part, play our role, and how we can contribute from the technologies on hands, and how we're going to improve in terms of daily basis, enhance our skills, our understanding, and also the value that we have. It is part of the learning. So I would conclude whatever the sharing from Mr. Clement just now. It's more on the learning. Okay, it is a cultural learning as a value within ourselves. At the same time, we put ourselves in the digital learning as the way to learn, the way to live nowadays. So I would like to invite our second practitioner plus speaker. So welcome to Mr. Rushdie.
Right, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat pagi. Anyone? Let's try one more time. Assalamualaikum and selamat pagi semua. Right, just want to check how many of you here are employers? Okay, trainers? Training providers? Wow, more training providers than trainers. Interesting. So we are also going to have a look at this number in a short while. First and foremost, thank you so much for HRD Corp for inviting me. Right? And also, thank you to the moderator. Now, coming back to the content or the topic that we are going to, what I'm going to share to each and every one of you today is future-proofing Malaysia's training industry. Now, when I heard this topic, redefine and how to future-proof Malaysia's training industry, something came to my mind. Right? The thing is, when we talk about as a trainer or as a training provider, when we talk about future-proofing the training industry, it all goes back to the trainer and the training provider, from my point of view. Why? Because to me, as a trainer or a training provider, it's all about staying relevant. Because if you are not relevant, katakanlah, okay, I'm going to mix a little bit of bahasa Sarawak here. Katakanlah apa yang kita pola ya si masuk akal dah. Right? What we do is no more relevant. What happens is people won't see us as the go-to when it comes to training. Right? That's number one. Number two is when we are no more relevant, people won't want to do training anymore, especially employers. Kadang-kadang there are reasons why employers do not want to do training. It's not because that they do not want their staff to improve. But there are certain reasons that we are going to see in a short while. But before that, let's talk about this. The current scenario in Sarawak. So this is khusus untuk market training di Sarawak, because I believe each of us know that how the market in Semenanjung and Sarawak and Sabah totally different. Correct? Di Semenanjung, if for employers, you know there's a lot of training providers, there's a lot of trainers, boleh pilih je. Right? Tapi bila cari local, what happened? Ada 1, 2, 3. I've been using this for the past 5 years. I want something new, but no choice. What happens? Tangguhlah training. You want to fly people from Semenanjung, it's quite expensive. Now, we have limited resources in terms of trainers and TP. Right? But let's look also at the reality here. as of December 2021, ada 5,833 registered employers in Sarawak. Okay? Banyakkah sikit? Kira banyaklah. Right? And approved training grants for 2021 is 14.5 million. Let's talk about numbers, let's talk about money here. It means if we take in average 5,800 employers, majikan, grant yang di-approve oleh HRD Corp adalah 14.5 juta. That means in 2021, average adalah employer cuma utilize, satu employer cuma utilize 2,400 sepanjang tahun for training and development, which to me is very scarce, sangat sikit. Kalau kita averagekan lagi, dalam setiap bulan, cuma 200 yang dibelanjakan oleh setiap employer untuk membangunkan kemahiran staff ataupun employees. So this is the reality that we are actually looking at, yang mungkin ramai tidak tahu. Right? Now, let's look at what are the possibilities from the point of view or standpoint of view of Sarawakians. Between January to June 2022, levy collected lebih kurang 35 million. It means double the number daripada yang digunakan, yang dibelanjakan tahun lepas for the whole year. Meaning up to 6 months, already collected 35 million. Now, if all employers spend just 2 days in a year to do training, at least, right? Cukup 35 juta tu. Cukup untuk cover at least 2 days, where 1 day is 6,000 claimable. Meaning, kalau 2 hari 12,000. If every employer spends 12,000 per year, meaning every employer in the state can actually run a 2 days training at least for this year. Okay. Now, another number that I would like to introduce to you, 163 are registered training providers in Sarawak. So for employers, how many of you know that there's 163 training providers ada dekat Sarawak? Not many of us know. Right? Now we know. So meaning 163 registered training providers, there's 163 possibilities ataupun options for you to choose from to run training programs for your company or for your organization. Right? Now, funds utilized within 6 months, walaupun kutip 35 juta pada tahun ini setakat bulan Jun, utilized cuma lebih kurang 11.24 million. It's only 32% being used to actually improve ataupun enhance competency of your staff. Now, the question is, there's money to do training, but why only 32%? Now, let's look at the why. Okay? So, we did some surveys on our past participants, and we asked them, why before this do you do training? A lot of them say not so much lah. And we asked them, how many of you are actually willing to do training? Now, 7% are not sure whether they should run training programs for their staff ataupun tidak. Then 28% willing. But sadly, 65% of our past clients, they shared that they are reluctant to run training. So we asked them why. So we came up with some of the reasons why. Number one, a lot of employers are scared about this one. Highly competent employee meaning higher chances they will leave. Right? But let's look at this from a different point of view, a different perspective. If our employees have higher competency, what happens to the productivity of our organization? Makin tinggi kah makin rendah? Exactly. But some of us are so scared to send these employees for training because they might leave. Then we might want to see how are we treating our employees? That's number one. Number two, I would like to repeat balik apa yang Mr. Chang cakap pasal kalau atap bocor, jangan tampal atap. We need to find out the root cause. And most of the time the root cause bukannya mereka keluar sebab mereka ada skill yang lebih tinggi. Now, a little bit story about myself. I left my previous job to become a trainer in the corporate world because I do not find any room for improvements. Right? There are some of the employees yang anda ada, mereka sentiasa cari ruang untuk mereka jadi lebih bagus. But if you do not provide them the platform, the opportunity for them to improve, lama kelamaan they will feel, what do you call that? Stagnant. And some people, they cannot, especially the younger generations, they are always moving with fast pace. If we do not give them the opportunity for them to actually improve themselves, express themselves, provide better results in their life and in their work, that's the main reason why they are not willing to stay loyal to the organization. So this is something that we need to understand about the new generations. Right? Number two, no money to do training programs for staff. Tadi baru saya kongsi, ada duit because if you pay levy, you have the money to run training. The only thing that you need to do is understand the process of permohonan grant dan claim process. Cari training provider yang memang boleh provide the right topic for you. Okay, next one. There are limited choices of training providers, trainers, relevant courses offered. There are 163 training providers in Sarawak so far. 62 active trainers. Now, I'm also going to use this opportunity to invite subject matter experts dekat luar, industry players. Now, kita tahu kita kekurangan trainers, especially dalam bidang technical. Now, I would like to invite you to actually be part of the training team, so that you are able to offer your expertise, your subject matter expertise kepada industri yang ada di Sarawak. Right? So how do you want to do that? Jumpalah dengan GEMS. Run TTT with them. So that you know how to teach, because a lot of subject matter expertise, they share, bukan si mau lah ajar orang, tapi si pandai. Kalau si pandai, kita boleh belajar. So fine, there's 22 TTT providers seluruh Malaysia. You can choose with whom you want to run a TTT program. Okay? Number 4, employee have no improvement after attending training. Number 5, no new knowledge or skills acquired, same old stuff, repetition of competency. And number 6, ini yang selalu kita dengar daripada employer. Kita dapat feedback, trainer boring. Kita dapat feedback, the training is boring. Now, I would like to cover number 4, number 5, number 6 because it's from the perspective of a trainer. Alright, now how do we address this issue? What if there's no new competency? What if the training is boring? Apa yang perlu kita buat? So as trainers, I'm speaking to you guys, as training providers as well, I'm speaking to each and every one of you. And I also speak to myself, I remind myself about this thing. If you want to stay relevant in the market, we want to make sure that the training industry stays moving forward. We need to always stay relevant by becoming competent trainers. Now, how do we become competent trainers? First thing that we need to have is the right mindset as a trainer. What do I mean by mindset? A lot of people think when they become trainer, nyayah paling pandai dalam bilik. No, when you become trainers, you are not the smartest guy in the room. As trainers, we need to understand what's our role as a trainer. Number 1 is to enhance the competency of others. Right? Number 2, we are providing a platform so that knowledge acquisition can happen. Transfer of knowledge boleh berlaku. Transfer of skills can happen. Changes in terms of behavior can happen. That's the role of a trainer. So as a trainer, kita kena ada mindset like this. Another mindset of a trainer adalah, like what Clement shared just now, when 18 March 2020 happened, semua, like 80% of the trainers and training provider break down. Sebab apa? How to do training? Do online lah. How to do online training? Cannot lah. Cannot be done one. Kita tidak pernah buat online training. The mindset of it cannot be done should not be with a trainer. So as a trainer, we always need to improve ourselves. Remember, the world is moving into a VUCA. Okay, kita dengar VUCA banyak dah. Volatility, benda yang tidak stabil, things change rapidly. So as a trainer, we need to embrace and prepare ourselves before we can speak to the employers. Guys, dalam industri anda juga perlu banyak perubahan. If we can tell the employers, our clients, that they need to change, how about us as trainers and training providers? Kalau kita not willing to change, it does not make sense. Right? That's number one, mindset as a trainer. Number two, now when you have the mindset, then there will always be room for us to improve our skill set. Right? So what do I mean by skill set? A lot of trainers, I'm not saying all, a lot of trainers, fundamentals of teaching ataupun fundamentals of educating the audience is something that they inherit from previous trainers. Maksudnya, the methodology, the content has been around for 40 years. And the client has also been around for 40 years. So when you offer the same training, the same content, the same methodology, then there's nothing new for the clients. So as a trainer, we always want to improve methodology. We always want to improve, enhance our skills in terms of delivery, in terms of the techniques that we use. So another mindset yang perlu kita ada adalah trainers themselves need to spend to empower and enhance their skill set, their competency. And the last one is, once you have the right skill set, then it's easy for us to come up with whatever tool set yang kita perlukan dalam kita nak membuat training yang menjadikan training yang sesuatu yang menarik. Right? So, to me, there's three simple words to gambarkan a training. A training is about educate, empower, and entertain. But it needs to have all three in your training. Right? So a trainer is someone who is able to educate the audience, number one. But just by educating, but if the training is boring, then it does not make any sense. Right? You also need to be able to empower. Bukan sampaikan aja A, B, C, D, E, F, G, that's it, training habis, you can go back. If they do not have the empowerment, they do not have something that inspire them to use what they learn in the organization, then it does not work that way. And number three, as a trainer, you need to be able to entertain the audience. Bukannya jadi joker dekat depan, but what I'm saying is, as a trainer, you want the participants to feel that the training is fun. Therefore, combine all three, educate, empower, and entertain, you will have a training session yang menarik untuk semua orang. They learn through fun, they remember because they had fun while they're learning, and we empower them to use whatever new skills, new knowledge, or new behavior yang mereka dapat dalam training, bring it back to the organization. Use it so that the organization sees the value of training. So I'm also speaking to not just the training providers and also the trainers, but also for employers yang ada doubt to run training programs. Give it a try. Ramai dah trainer yang dah ada trainer-trainer baru, yang dah ada skill baru, dah ada kompetensi baru. Give them a try. Right? If masih lagi tidak puas hati, then we'll get the trainers to enhance their competency lagi. Okay? And once you have all three, what happens is this will come automatically. You will have the hard set. Apa hard set? Once you know the purpose of a trainer and a training and what it can actually provide to the employers and their employees, this is where the big picture comes in. A better industry meaning better players. A better players means better environment. A better environment means better future. For whom? And this is where it gets really personal to me. Because by doing proper training, by creating better employees, we are actually providing a better environment for our kids. When they go to work in the future, they will have a good environment. For example, I ulang balik apa yang Suhaimi Sulaiman said yesterday. how he does it, because he is willing to build a good environment ataupun what do you call that, ecosystem yang sesuai. Now that's the purpose of trainers, and that's the purpose of training providers, to make sure that that ecosystem wujud by giving proper and fun training for the employees and employers, giving them that experience, right? And how do we achieve this? This is where this symbiotic relationship between HRD Corp, trainers and training providers, and also employers. Because a lot of time, training providers and HRD Corp gaduh because training provider nampak HRD Corp is doing something that is not towards their kepentingan. And it goes the way round and round and round. By right, all three components ataupun all three pihak perlulah menjalankan tugas masing-masing dengan baik and share feedbacks. That's one part of it. Another part is also, I would like to pick what also Clement said just now. As trainers and training providers, it's not a competition between us. It's a competition between ourselves to ensure how do we show people we are different daripada orang lain. So it's not about putting down other training providers, but how do we collaborate and make sure, especially for Sarawak, number one, we have limited numbers of training providers, very limited numbers of trainers. Right? Nak bersaing pun tidak habis makan, orang cakap. So what's the purpose of bersaing? And for employers, give the training providers and trainers an opportunity, see how good they are, work together. And yang paling penting sekali, I know I've passed my time, but a little bit more, right? Most important thing adalah when it comes to the purpose of a trainer and training provider, how we want to work together well with the employers. As trainers and training providers, we need to understand and help the employers to find the root cause. Right? Sebab kadang-kadang employers tanya ataupun even the employees tanya, adakah kami kena hantar training sebab kami ada problem ataupun kami underperform? And then employers pun kadang-kadang tanya, do we send the underperform for training? Now we need to understand, what is training actually? Training is a process where the trainer enhance the competency. Sama ada bagi yang underperform ataupun bagi yang perform, we want them to perform better. Ada benda baru, send for training. They do not know, send for training. They are not aware, send for training. But there are also non-training issues yang tidak dapat diselesaikan dengan training. How do we know this? That is where training needs analysis is very, very important. Right? So work together. TP trainers work together with employers, help them identify what are the root cause, what are the needs of the training. Do a training needs analysis. Then only we can provide the needs, apa yang diperlukan. Not what they want or what we want, but what they need and what we can provide to the employers. Okay? So I'll end it with that. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rushdie. That is, I would say, why we need this redefine session. We want to know what we can do, because it is quite clear for me, if we listen to Mr. Clements just now, he's talking about all the changes, especially after the pandemic. Then what Mr. Rushdie said is about the challenges. Knowing about the changes per se, without knowing what are the challenges that we're supposed to overcome, is never been enough. Apart from the motivation of making change or working towards something better, it's always the responsibility. So we should ask ourselves, looking at the symbiotic or the symbiosis in the ecosystem itself, we ask ourselves, talking about the mindset, talking about the skill set, talking about the tool set just now, and also the hard set that we have, how we are making it workable to everyone. So are we going to make it better, or we are just like taking for granted, as what our CSPO said just now, Mr. Ronnie Ambrose, saying that kematangan berjalanan masa, if I'm not mistaken. But the kematangan, in my opinion, it's not happen naturally. If it happen, it's very slow and it won't be taking to the fullest advantage that we can. So talking more about the opportunity and the tool set maybe, I would like to invite our third speaker. So I think it is more interesting for him to relate with the tools and the opportunity that we can work or overcome the challenges and the changes that we know just now. Okay, please welcome Mr. Shahrul Akmal.
Thank you, moderator, Dr. Aila Abdul Latif, my fellow panelists today, Mr. Clement and Mr. Mr. Ahmad Rosdi. First of all, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan selamat pagi semua, apa khabar? Ya, Alhamdulillah. Okay, just a short survey. So there's a QR code behind me, so you can join or participate the survey. Just I want to, or just need to know the audience in front of me ni knows about the fourth industrial revolution. So boleh kata kat sini, okay, so this survey will play along my presentation. So we look at the last after my presentation. Baik, untuk sesi presentasi pada pagi ini saya prefer to speak in bahasa. So if you don't mind, and then allow me to just sit from my chair because I have a lot of notes that I cannot remember. So I just need my notes. Okay, just as our panelists said before, starting from the 18 March 2020, starting the pandemic, so all over the world have orang kata terkesan dengan wabak ataupun pandemik ni, dan tak terkecuali juga kita di pihak trainers ataupun training provider. So what we want to do ataupun apa yang kita nak buat, especially macam saya, kami adalah institusi latihan yang memang 100% hands on. So we need to change to online. How we can do it? What we must do? Takkan kita nak gunakan online learning ataupun Zoom meeting sahaja semata-mata untuk pelajar dan juga untuk staffing yang akan menyebabkan mereka sangat, orang kata memang sangat boring, macam tadi Mr. Ahmad Rosdi ada mention berkaitan dengan training. Kalau full time kita buat secara online memang akan boring. So what we do? So a little bit of myself as a slide in front of you. I'm a head of multimedia at Advanced Technology Training Center at Tech Bintulu. So the one ataupun salah satu-satunya institusi latihan ataupun EdTech di Borneo region, especially di Sarawak. I'm also as a certified EC Council instructor and Cisco Networking Academy instructor, yang banyak memang terlibat dengan computer technology dan juga cyber security. And currently I'm being evaluated as a technology professional by Malaysian Board of Technology. Okay, how to prove your training program? This is the main ataupun satu orang kata apa yang perlu kita buat as a training provider. Okay, pertama-tama sekali memang adalah yang paling penting sebagai training provider kita adalah berkaitan dengan bajet. Bajet adalah memang selalu salah satu ataupun yang boleh dikatakan poin utama dalam kita untuk merangka ataupun kita untuk merancang suatu latihan. So di sini saya gariskan ada 3 panduan yang boleh tuan-tuan as a training provider untuk gunakan ataupun maybe dah ada yang dah pakai ataupun dah laksanakan. So if we have a minimal budget, so we should do a cost cutting budget. So we offered the program that what we call the on demand skills only. So yang ini kalau di institusi kami yang menawarkan kursus secara sepenuh masa, memang kalau ikutkan memang kos untuk melaksanakan latihan bagi sesuatu kursus tempoh sepenuh masa memang sangat tinggi. So bagi untuk menjimatkan kos, kita akan menawarkan pada kursus-kursus yang memang orang kata tengah hangat di pasaran ataupun orang kata on demand skills lah. Next, kita juga ada projected budget. Ini adalah yang biasa kita ataupun training provider lakukan, iaitu kita dah buat perancangan ataupun kita dah ada takwim untuk sepanjang tahun. So we have planned our courses for this month, what we want to do next month and other months dan other month, apakah kursus-kursus yang kita perlu laksanakan. And if we you as a training provider have extra budget, so we can go to virtual reality or augmented reality. This is a kind of new technology yang boleh dikatakan sangat baru, yang mungkin kita pun ataupun saya di tempat saya sendiri pun masih belum melaksanakan lagi. Saya tak pasti mungkin di tempat tuan-tuan memang dah melaksanakan virtual reality ataupun augmented reality. Saya boleh ambil contoh syarikat Honeywell, kalau pernah dengar. So they implement immersive field simulator, yang mana they train the new trainee ataupun pekerja-pekerja baru yang datang ataupun yang baru untuk masuk kerja dengan pengalaman ataupun experience the real situasi ataupun the real field, sama seperti sekiranya mereka berada di lapangan. So cara ini lebih menarik minat kepada para pekerja ataupun para pelatih untuk melaksanakan ataupun mengikuti latihan yang dilaksanakan. Next is to plan for vulnerabilities. So di sini saya percaya yang ada di depan saya ini yang kebanyakannya adalah training provider ataupun juga trainer pernah dengar berkaitan dengan TNA, betul? Training Need Analysis. So daripada situ kita ataupun training provider ataupun trainer, kita akan kenal pasti apakah jurang ataupun gap yang ada pada sesuatu latihan ataupun kompetensi yang ada pada satu trainer ataupun trainees. Daripada situ kita akan boleh mengisi ataupun kita merapatkan jurang dan memastikan kita punya training itu stay relevant. Adakah kursus-kursus yang kita nak laksanakan ini boleh dilaksanakan ataupun kita tak perlu laksanakan ataupun kita perlu keluarkan daripada kita punya kalender, ataupun adakah kursus-kursus yang kita nak laksanakan ini mendapat permintaan yang tinggi. Next adalah sekarang kita telah berada pada era yang boleh dikatakan kita pergi kepada Fourth Industrial Revolution Technologies, yang mana ini telah diperkenalkan oleh kerajaan kita starting on 2021. So dia ada lima teknologis ataupun 5 foundational technologies yang diperkenalkan. Yang tadi tuan-tuan ada buat survey yang saya tanya tadi tu, itu adalah Fourth Industrial Revolution yang kerajaan kita laksanakan supaya segala ataupun training yang kita nak laksanakan sekarang kekal relevan dengan situasi semasa dan mengikuti kehendak industri. Saya ambil contoh untuk jabatan saya bekerja di Jabatan Tenaga Manusia di bawah Kementerian Sumber Manusia. So untuk makluman semua, JTM and HRD Corp, we are under same roof. We are the kementerian yang sama. So what we do, so from the policy that issued by the government and from the industry, so we get the feedback and we get the maklum balas daripada pihak industri, kerajaan dan sebagainya. So kita cuba relatekan dengan apakah kursus-kursus yang ada ataupun kursus-kursus yang semasa yang kita laksanakan, dan kita mapping dengan program-program yang cuba untuk dilaksanakan oleh pihak industri. Ini supaya memastikan kita punya latihan ataupun training kita selari dengan kehendak jabatan dan juga pihak industri. Supaya pelatih ataupun trainees yang hadir pada kursus tersebut selepas tu boleh mengaplikasi ataupun boleh menggunakan tools ataupun boleh mengaplikasikan kemahiran ataupun skill yang telah mereka pelajari di institut lah. Okay, next, after we do the budgeting and then after we do the plan the vulnerabilities, your 10A tadi, so we need to measure the results. So, during the planning process, make a decision on how you are going to measure the impact of your learning. If you know what you are measuring, then it's easy to adjust your strategy. Maksudnya di sini adalah kita sebagai TP ataupun training provider ataupun trainers kena ada engagement dengan kita punya trainees dan juga kita punya trainers lah. Supaya kita dapat mengetahui ataupun kita boleh dapat keputusan ataupun kita dapat kenal pasti apakah kelemahan-kelemahan yang kita telah hadapi semasa untuk melaksanakan latihan tersebut. So start by determining your KPIs and how learning progress affects those KPIs. So be one step ahead, meet the future's demands baik dari segi psikologi trainers ataupun trainees, industry demands dan juga pemeliharaan alam sekitar. So my second point, this about future-proofing learning and development. So we as a training provider, we need to make sure all our trainers mastery ataupun competent dalam setiap skill yang dipelajari ataupun telah diasah oleh trainers. So kita hantar kita punya trainers pergi kursus 2 hari, 3 hari ataupun sebulan dan sebagainya. So bukanlah berapa lama ataupun sekejap kursus yang kita hadari itu, kita attend itu menentukan kita adalah kompeten ataupun tidak, tapi adalah about focusing ataupun juga intensity. So sekiranya kita datang kursus setengah hari pun, kalau kita fokus, memang kita akan dapat belajar sesuatu yang baru. Next is about powering your skills. So ini sebenarnya adalah, kalau ikutkan term lama kita gunakan soft skill. Saya tak nak cerita lebih panjang sebab rakan-rakan saya dah banyak cerita tadi pasal soft skill. Cuma saya nak sentuh kat sini adalah we as a trainers ataupun you as a training providers need to make sure that your trainers develop 21st century skills that can't be replaced by machine. Yang ini adalah skill-skill yang memang tak boleh digantikan oleh mesin. Kita memang ada industrial revolution yang more on, orang kata, artificial intelligence, machine learning, ada augmented reality yang saya sebut tadi, ada VR dan sebagainya. Tapi benda-benda itu adalah teknologi. So teknologi cuma alat ataupun tools untuk membantu kita supaya kita punya delivery lebih baik ataupun lebih berkesan. So, kita sebagai trainers kena develop our soft skill atau power skills seperti leadership lah, dan juga selain daripada itu, contohnya macam creativity, people management, problem solving, emotional intelligence dan negotiation skill, yang mana ini semua memang tak boleh nak digantikan oleh mesin lah. Next is berkaitan dengan training materials. Okay, yang ini kebanyakannya saya tahu, ataupun maybe kebanyakan training provider dah start menggunakan learning management system, di mana online learning telah mula digunakan starting daripada sebelum ni memang dah digunakan, iaitu sebelum the pandemic, tapi when the pandemic start, so we more using the LMS or learning management system. Next, we also if you have more budget, macam saya cakap tadi, you can use for VR or AR for enhance your industrial training dan juga untuk your development. So just a recap on this point number 2 tadi tu, we need on-demand training. Kita kena tawarkan kursus-kursus yang ada permintaan, dan juga sekiranya satu-satu kursus itu ada memerlukan tempoh yang sangat panjang, so we can do a micro learning. So we can short the learning. Instead from we do it for 2 or 3 days, we just make a short days, maybe just for a half days lah. And then make sure, pastikan kursus-kursus material yang kita hasilkan tu adalah sesuatu yang bersifat interaktif. You can put the audio or video. So just make sure the trainings more become interactive lah. Kalau boleh, you can add on the gamification of training. So ini lebih dan sangat menarik lah. Because we at the new era of training, anything that can enhance the learning ataupun dapat mempercepatkan pemahaman sesuatu pembelajaran, ia akan menjimatkan dari segi masa dan juga kos. Last point of me is about facilitation is the skill of the future. Ini just saya nak tambah. Kita sebagai trainers sekarang ni lebih kalau perlu, tadi rakan saya telah banyak cerita pasal trainers, so saya just nak tambah saja. The future of trainers, kita dah lebih pergi kepada facilitate. Kita bukan lagi, sebab kita bukan ajar kanak-kanak, so kita mengajar yang dah bekerja ataupun yang dah lepasan daripada sekolah. So the role of trainers now become ataupun more kepada facilitate. Okay, as you can see, kalau apa ni sebelum ni ataupun the model of training methodology, kalau untuk kanak-kanak, kalau biasa pernah dengar sebelum ni, kita menggunakan pedagogi, kemudian untuk adult learning, andragogy. But for the new era of the training, we go to the hitagogy. So this is the new ataupun orang kata konsep pembelajaran yang dikatakan lebih sejajar dengan kehendak maupun keperluan latihan abad ke-21 sekarang inilah, di mana peranan facilitator lebih sebagai kepada pemudah cara, yang mana lebih terbuka untuk sama-sama mendengar dan juga memberi pendapat. Okey, untuk peranan facilitator, saya rasa semua pun dah sedia maklum apakah peranan facilitator. Cuma kita sebagai trainer ni, facilitator ni kita perlu bersifat lebih neutral dan juga profesional. And then we need to capable to transforming diverse conflicting ideas into shared decision and actions. And then we need to encourage cooperation for innovation and exchange of good practices. So we all need to brainstorm on how to integrate technologies for learning and development, or L&D, redesign the relationships between humans and machines, nurture broader ecosystems, and more diverse and more inclusive, and finally, rethink management and leadership accordingly. Okey, seseorang facilitator juga perlu ada values ataupun nilai-nilai seperti yang saya nak highlightkan sini. Kita ada dua, iaitu empathy dan juga trust. So empathy ini adalah kemahiran kita sebagai trainers untuk menjadi seorang pendengar yang aktif ataupun pendengar yang setia kepada masalah ataupun isu-isu yang ditimbulkan. Dan juga kita kena kita kena wujudkan satu kepercayaan antara trainers dan juga trainees supaya proses pembelajaran itu berjalan dengan lebih lancar dan juga lebih efektif. Modes. Untuk modes ini pula adalah dari segi kita punya komunikasi antara trainers dan juga trainees. Ada dua kat sini saya nak highlightkan, iaitu berkaitan dengan communication dan juga participation. So untuk communication, facilitations menghubungkan antara trainers dan juga trainees. So kena ada komunikasi dua hala antara trainer dan trainees. Kena selalu bincang walaupun latihan ataupun selepas tamat latihan. Kena ada engagement antara trainers dan juga trainees supaya hubungan itu kekal berpanjangan dan lebih lama lah. And then participation. So kita kena libatkan ataupun kita kena aktifkan hubungan ataupun kita kena melibatkan semua kita punya trainers ataupun trainees dalam dalam memastikan supaya kalau kita bagi satu-satu task ataupun tugasan kepada mereka dalam satu-satu sesi latihan itu, semua mengambil bahagian. And lastly, tuntutan ataupun demands sebagai trainers, as we know, semakin lama semakin rumit dan semakin kompleks. So we just not do our job as a trainers. We now must become as a technology expert. Kita kena belajar, learn and learn and learn. So sebelum ni kita just kalau kita ada conventional, kita just mengajar dan kita tak menggunakan pun tool-tool yang berkaitan dengan teknologi, contohnya macam Google Drive ataupun OneDrive dan sebagainya, atau cloud teknologi lah yang kita gunakan sebelum ni. Tapi now, sekarang adalah masa yang terpaksa. Memang nak tak nak, sebagai seorang trainer kita kena ambil tahu dan kita kena guna pakai benda-benda tu lah. Dan seterusnya kita adalah untuk kita kena berkolaborasi. Maksud di sini adalah hubungan kita dengan pihak trainees dan juga hubungan kita dengan pihak industri. Kena wujudkan kolaborasi itu supaya kita kekal ataupun kita sama-sama faham apakah keperluan di pihak industri dan apa juga keperluan di pihak kita. And last but not least is adapt and adapt. Okay, ni just for your further reading. Kalau berminat boleh go to this ni lah yang dicadangkan untuk bacaan tambahan daripada International Association of Facilitators yang mengandungi beberapa idea, buku-buku dan tata cara yang membincangkan tajuk kepimpinan dan pengaruh. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Shahrul Akmal. That was, I would say, method-based, methodological approach that we have to consider, because the understanding and the inspiration towards the changes itself is never enough if we don't think about in the indicator or the measurable way for us to make a move. So just to recap daripada yang dapat daripada Cik Shahrul tadi, make it more measurable at the employee or employer side as well as at the trainer side. Maybe something that measurable, because future proofing is something big. If we don't want to make it specific or in detail, it might be hard for us to capture where to improve, what to do next. So talking about the measurable, the measure, the indicator, we should look in terms of the budgeting, how we make it. In terms of the costing, of course, all the approach that we are using, as well as try to visualize in terms of the mapping, maybe in terms of the gap that we have from what we currently lacking of and what we want, as we are aware of the changes and the circumstances that we are currently facing. So, yeah, the same like what I have in my mind. Because of the sharings that have been given by our speakers just now, there's a lot of questions that come to my mind. So maybe we can check on the question first. The first question, I don't know, maybe they're talking about tools, any one of you, but maybe Mr. Shahrul, I think the one who are interested or capable to share more on what are the tools that we can use as a trainer to make our participants more fun and engaged during virtual training. Maybe you can share a little bit in specific, the name or the type of...
Okay, there's a lot of tools online that you can use to make your training more fun and excited. So saya boleh ambil contoh ada satu tools tu, tapi yang ni untuk just a basic one. So kalau pernah dengar Kahoot, kalau pernah dengar kan, itu just a simple. We can use you can use it as a quiz or just for a quick assessment. Sama juga yang macam sekarang ni, yang kita buat sekarang ni, contoh macam slido.com ni kan. So this is a real time, ataupun you can make us more fun. macam tadi saya tanyakan berkenaan dengan soalan. So you can get the data or the results on the spot. Macam saya tadi kan tanyakan apakah fourth industrial revolution yang sedang digunakan di tempat kerja ataupun di tempat masing-masing. So on the spot, you can get the results dan you boleh gunakan, and then you terus boleh bincangkan bersama dengan trainee yang hadir pada latihan pada hari itulah. Itu antara contoh yang kita boleh gunakan. Selain daripada itu, macam saya cakap tadi, Kahoot memang totally, kalau kebanyakannya di sektor pendidikan memang banyak gunakan tool tersebut. Selain daripada itu, LMS tadi, LMS Learning Management System yang memang telah digunakan sebelum pandemik pun memang dah memang digunakan. Even di tempat saya ataupun di EdTech sendiri, kita ada bangunkan satu platform yang kita secara open source. Kita menggunakan Moodle. So yang itu adalah online platform learning yang trainers ataupun trainees boleh engage, boleh bersama-sama, di mana trainees boleh do assessment dan trainers pula boleh develop ataupun boleh masukkan kos-kos yang dia nak train, dan dia juga boleh buat penilaian kepada trainees lah.
Okay, thank you very much. That is, I would say, the Kahoot or the same types of engagement, enhancement of the learning that we want to get active participation from our trainees. At the same time, the LMS, which encourage two-way checking and improvement that we can observe, can monitor from the both sides. Maybe Mr. Clement, you can add some more on that?
All right, thank you, Ayla and Shah. Just to add on, like Slido, I think it's also one of the tools, because you can do polls, word clouds. This is all engagements with the participants. Trainer can post the QR code, the link, they click, and then they interact using their mobiles, like WhatsApps. Even we can do escape room, link to the training we want to engage. Like they want to escape stage by stage, link to the topic actually they learn already. How do you solve this and relate? That is fun. They remember once their experience is together as a team. Even we also can do virtual team buildings. We don't limit ourselves if, let's say, we explore and know how to use the tools correctly to our advantage as a trainer. So fun is not limited. We can still engage as good as physical training once we know how to use digital, the tools. All right.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Clement. I think that is kind of answer or how we redefine something that been resetted by our employers yesterday. They're talking about creating the environment which we can work and play, which is like catering what our young generation, our young worker, what they need. At work, they just don't want to work only, they want to work and play. So how do we create the environment? Maybe not only by virtual and also at the field work. We can ask more from the expert later on, but maybe we can continue to the second question. As an employee, how can we convince our employers to send us to more training program? Maybe, I think Mr. Rushdie can answer this.
Okay, this is a challenge for a lot of employees that wants to improve themselves, right? Number one, my suggestion would be understand how the training framework is being done. What do I mean by training framework? Number one, identify whether your employer is paying levy or not. If your employer is paying levy, means they have allocation that they can claim to send their employees for training. Then you also need to give feedback to your employer about yourself, about your competency versus the work that you are doing. So meaning that you are willing to acknowledge that I do not have enough competency to get the job done or to get the job done as fast as it should be done, then only the employer will see, okay, there's need for you to go for training. Right? Sebab a lot of times, employers wants to send their employees for training, but the employees selalu cakap apa? No need lah, I already know how to do what. Why should I go for training? That's number one. Number two is the misconception ataupun myth itself about orang yang pergi training adalah orang yang underperform. It's not that. Right? Is it true? Yes, underperformers, send them for training so that they can perform. But what happens during the training is not about getting them to have balik-balik terus boleh. The purpose of a training is actually to give them their competency in terms of knowledge, skills and new behaviors. At the end of the day, whether they do it or not, then it depends on them and also the environment or the ecosystem. Is it supporting them? But coming back to this question, as an employee, how can we convince our employees to send us to more training program? Number one, sampaikan kepada employers kita, oh ada training program yang tertentu berkaitan dengan saya pun kerja, berkaitan dengan kemahiran yang saya perlukan untuk saya improve myself. At the same time, if I improve myself, I can also improve my productivity. So you need to understand the context of the training and how it is related to you. So that will be the best way. And there are also organizations that are always looking for employees to send. Ya, sikit lagi, balik-balik saya saja akan kena hantar. Saya ada orang lain kah? Bukan saya ada orang lain. Semua orang kena hantar berkali-kali. Tapi training berlainan. Then that's another issue. Right? So first is understand the context. What's your job scope? What's your job description? What are the competencies that is needed? If you understand that, we can convince the employer, these are the skills that I'm lacking, these are the skills that I can obtain when I go for this training. So it's about understanding the job description, the job scope itself. Then senang kita nak yakinkan.
I think we can relate it with the social impact as well as the business impact as we discussed earlier just now. So it's no point of saying that it is for personal interest or personal advantage. It is more on mutual benefits that can be enjoyed by everybody. It's not only for the organization and ourselves, it's also for the society, right? And again, I love to relate it with what our Mr. Roni said just now. It's about kematangan perjalanan masa. If we just stay at the existing stand that we are currently have, so it won't help us because we are all should follow. We are all learning. We should follow the path. We are on our own learning path that we have to be aware of. So I think the third question, it's already been answered. It's about the underperform versus the more talented and good performance. But maybe we can touch a little bit more in terms of the succession planning.
Okay, this is related but not directly. Yeah? Now, when an organization wants to do succession plan, right? So how do we choose people yang akan ganti managers yang akan bersara, ganti eksekutif yang akan bersara, ganti CEO yang akan bersara? How do we do succession plan? Now the first thing is, that's where if we understand the framework of training needs analysis, there's a lot of wonders training needs analysis can do. Number one, training needs analysis can help the organization identify root cause, right, of any issues yang berlaku dalam organization. Number two, training needs analysis is also a tool where we can actually come up with clear job description and also job specification, competency framework yang perlu ada dalam setiap pejawatan ataupun dalam setiap post. So, if you ask me, understand the framework of TNA. Then should we focus only on talented ataupun good performance, staff ataupun good performers? If you are talking about succession plan, the answer would be, a simple answer would be yes. But how do we help the underperformers? That's another question. Right? So for underperformers, we give them purpose. Or we challenge them in terms of what can you achieve if you start performing? That's the platform for them. What are the perks that you are able to get? What is it in for you if you start performing? That's the platform. Number two, we also need to identify, do they have the competency in order for them to perform? If they lack competency, send them for training. If they have competency, but the environment is not adequate for them to perform, then change the environment. So that's where TNA, again, TNA is very important. We can identify training issues or non-training issues. So as employers ataupun HR managers yang in charge of succession plan ataupun career path development, we need to identify the issue is a training issue or a non-training issue. That's the most important. If training issue, automatic training lah. If a non-training issue, maybe it's policy, maybe it's gaji, maybe it's the organizational, what do you call that? Structure. So we need to have a look at this. Ataupun orang yang terror bodek yang selalu dapat naik pangkat. Is that the case? If that's the case, it's a non-training issue. So work on what is the issue at that moment, whether it's training or non-training.
Okay, thank you very much. I would say we can see it in terms of, or in the perspective of the employer. It is something that I would say is kind of responsibility for us to cater both needs. Those who are talented, very motivated, very much motivated, and to carry on with the inspiration that they have within them. But for those who are underperformed, what are the things that we can initiate for helping the situation? And at the trainer side, I think it is kind of a challenge for us to cater or to provide something, maybe something different, for us to engage everyone in terms of the participation in this recovery phase, right? So thank you very much for that response. And I would like to look at something more contextual. One of the questions saying that most of training, they said it's more to corporate context or corporate context, corporate perspective. So if, let's say, we know that the nature of industry, it is quite various, it's quite multifaceted in terms of skills, in terms of the understanding, motivation, and everything. So how about the gap of lifelong learning among the underprivileged and rural versus urban learning? Maybe we should be more clear in terms of this, since we are refining the context. Maybe anyone of our panel?
Let me try. Okay, for this lifelong learnings, like, of course, training provider is design the program for corporates. If let's say for the rural or underprivileged focus team, usually the Sarawak state, actually they provide a lot of skills, hands-on training for them. So the context must be relevant for them, like, because they are living surrounded a lot of through agricultures. Like yesterday, all the panelists actually very vocal when they talk about the agriculture. Smart farming, technology is coming. This is the skill set we need to train that area of people on those skills. Smart farming and using technology to do agriculture. How can we do the infrastructure from the farm until until the market? So this is a lot of opportunities, but I believe our Sarawak states are going into this sooner. Then this is where, as a training provider, if this is your strength, your skill set, you know the know-how, I believe the opportunity is there. So we cannot say that a lot of training only focus on corporates, but I believe a lot of trainers doesn't show their strengths, how they can actually add values to Sarawak State in the smart farming technologies, trainings.
Okay, maybe I'm not sure. I think this is what I get. Do you agree if you say that we should emphasize on the impact rather than the segmentation of the people or the trainees that we are targeting? I would say we should look in terms of the benefit that being generated maybe for the long-term measure. Then only we can make it more contextual. So the strategic the strategic approach, the strategic thinking should take to the first place. Maybe Mr. Rusdi, you have anything to add?
Yeah, if anyone remember yesterday, Mr. Holman also said Sarawak Skills is opening an agricultural training center and also automotive training center. So this is one of the initiatives that I believe what Clement is sharing, that the state is also providing this kind of trainings to cater not just the corporate sector, but also underprivileged and rural areas. That's number one. Number two, if you also remember last year or last 2 years, HRD Corp, Pekeso launched the Penjana program. So the Penjana program itself is also focused on underprivileged people who has been let off by their work, so that they will be able to learn skills in terms of entrepreneurship. I do admit that we are lacking in terms of sociopreneur punya programs in Sarawak, but there are certain agencies, contoh Teraju, Tegas, even Mintret themselves are also doing this kind of programs. The challenge here is to get participants to join, because not everyone is interested to become entrepreneurs when it comes to what is happening in Sarawak. So that's one of the issue as well. So if you say that it's mostly aimed to more corporate context, when we talk in the context of HRD Corp, yes, but in the context of training industry, there's a lot of trainings being done for underprivileged and rural adults.
So in this sense, I think we should be more specific. We know what we want to do. Not as the same what Mr. Clement said just now, we cannot do everything at one go. So try to be more specific, try to be more contextual, but we always know what we want at the end. And the impact itself, it's very important for us to look at. I think, Mr. Clement, you have one special question to you. How to keep participants engaged during the online training? It seems like maybe from the experience of our trainees, maybe, being in a digital learning environment, it has been quite challenging.
All right, thank you. Okay, my Sarawak name, Clement. Okay, bagus. Okay, for digital online training, always have the most challenges is webcam. How can we get participants to on the webcam? Once we can get the participant to on the webcam, then we get the commitment for them to learn. They open their mind already. How we get that? We do energizer. Physical is very easy for trainer to engage them. Come, we do energizer, chicken dance, everything. In online, how can we engage them to do energizer? How can we actually tell them, if you don't participate, actually we have a breakout room in another 1.5 hours, we will go into a breakout room. We learn as a team, we share as a team. Because we share from each point, we will learn better and faster. So they will feel that, okay, now I need to participate. I need to open my cam so that I can play energizer game together as a team. We compete with each other. So they know that, oh, I don't want to left out. I don't want to let my team to lose. Because every competition, every games, actually they have a point. Then in the end, they will win something like grab a voucher, Starbucks cards, to engage them, encourage them to participate. If not, people are very easy to lose focus in online training. The handphone is always at the side. If let's say work from home, the kitchen, the fridge is there. Easy, sekejap pergi make coffee. Easy, pergi toilet break. So how as a trainer, we make it very easy to understand, very fun. Like what Rusdi said, edutainment is important. Once they know the training is fun, even in online, they will sit there, open their cam, and participate. Once they go in the breakout room, they will share automatically. I want to share this point is what I learned, and I want to make sure my team is the winner. This is how actually we engage our participants through online trainings.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Clement. It's not easy. Now we can see that HR 5.0 just now, and at the same time, HR 5.0, IR 4.0 is everything that challenge for us. We have to do something. We cannot just simply ignore it. Otherwise, we will be left behind. And I'm afraid that we are not fully utilizing the resources that we have. So talking about resources, there's the one question that is interesting to me as well. As you mentioned before, I think this is for Mr. Rushdi. Sarawak has limited resources as training providers. What do you think is the best solution to increase the training resources?
Okay, first and foremost, the numbers of TP, 163. Number of active trainers, 62. Accredited trainers, meaning yang layak untuk claim grant, 14 orang seluruh Sarawak. So it's quite a worrying number. If you ask me what is the best solution, number one, I encourage industry players, subject matter expertise, come and become certified and accredited trainers. So that's the only way that we can actually improve in terms of resources. The challenge that we encounter a lot is a lot of people wants to become trainers but they do not want to come for TTT programs. Alright? Bolehkah exemption? Boleh. If you have enough experience, you can get exemption. But like I shared early on, the fundamentals yang anda pakai, would it be sesuai dengan current situation or current environment of training? So one of the ways, I'm not saying it's the only way, one of the ways to do this is to come and learn from TTT providers. There's 20 all across Malaysia. Alright? So choose from whichever. So employers as well, if you have people who you know can actually train, send them for TTT, get them to become your internal trainers. So when you do internal trainers, when you have internal trainers, you tak perlulah assign trainer luar for that particular subject matter because you already have your subject matter experts inside doing the training for you. Right? So those are one of the things that we can actually do. Number two is training providers should start thinking from a different perspective. Instead of bersaing sesama sendiri, is actually collaborate and joint venture to build more new trainers. Right? Because I believe in what Richard Branson always says. You want to go fast, move alone. If you want to go far, move together. So in the training industry of Sarawak, where we are lacking of resources, why not join hand in hand and look at what expertise that you have that can actually, what's the word for it? Complement each other, use that, work together and start training new young generation so that they are able to become future trainers. My worry is there were a lot of trainers 10 years back, now only 14 yang dah accredited under HRD Corp. So yang balance 48 lagi yang memang active trainers belum buat accreditation. So makin lama makin kurang. So this is a real scenario, that's what I shared early on. So what we can do is these three things lah. Employers, get your subject matter experts to go for TTT, get certified so that they can train internally. Subject matter experts yang wants to train outside, come. Business owners yang have all this expertise, come and become certified trainers. TP trainers yang sudah wujud, work together so that we can complement each other in terms of apa keperluan yang diperlukan. Because I believe TPs you have your niche. So kadang-kadang clients tanya, can you do this? Cannot, not in my expertise. Can you recommend someone? Don't want. Why? Nanti dia dapat job. So this kind of mindset we need to put aside, work together. Yeah, this one is particularly for TPs and trainers, especially in Sarawak. Kita si rami. Ya kata kuncinya, kita si rami. Pahal nak kelahi. Okay?
Thank you very much. That is, I would say, a wake-up call to all of us. It's the special case for Sarawak. The figure itself just now, it's quite worrisome. But the worriness and awareness of the situation, it won't be enough if we don't do something. So both sides, employer and employees, as well as the trainers, we should identify anything that we could do for the short-term strategy as well as long-term strategy to accommodate these needs in the industry. So let's move to, ada banyak juga question ni. Okay, what are some of the training demands received from the employers that TP can't cater? Tadi baru cakap kan ada benda yang dia tak boleh nak cater. So they want to know in specific what is that. Just yet due to lacking of resources, expertise in Sarawak or Malaysia. Mr. Shah, can you help with this question?
Okey, untuk yang ni untuk menjawab pada persoalan ini, kita banyak terima ataupun input. Selalunya kita akan dapat input daripada state lah ataupun daripada federal. Sebagai contoh untuk yang teknologi yang baru yang diperkenalkan, kita akan melaksanakan rail transportation. Padahal kita pun tak tahu adakah akan dilaksanakan di Sarawak ni, tetapi benda tu ataupun kalau siapa-siapa nak dengar kat sini, kalau di Sarawak ni dipanggil My Metro ke My Metro City, saya tak pasti. Kita sedang bekerjasama dengan pihak Metro City untuk melaksanakan kursus-kursus yang melibatkan autonomous. So di Bintulu sebagai contoh ada plan untuk melaksanakan ataupun untuk memperkenalkan sistem aliran transit daripada Bintulu City itself, daripada Tanjung Batu sehingga ke Kidurong. So itu adalah salah satu, kita memang kalau diikutkan di Sarawak memang tak ada expertise dalam bidang tu. Jadi peranan kami sebagai penyedia latihan ataupun kami di Atik Bintulu juga bekerjasama dengan pihak state, government dan juga pihak jabatan, sedang mengenal pastilah langkah-langkah yang perlu diambil, apakah yang kita boleh laksanakan ataupun apakah yang boleh kita buat due to cater this problem lah.
Thank you very much. I think maybe if anyone of our participants or even the live streaming audience, if you have things to share with our panels, you can, even to HRD Corp, you can always contact the person in charge for this, okay? And let's move to the next question. What are your views on the acceptance or openness to training for different generation of workforce, especially in the era of technology and digitalization? So it's about, just now we're talking about worriness, we're talking about awareness, worry and aware. It comes to degree of openness, right? Acceptance. So maybe it's more about attitude, I think, of the recipient of this training. Okay, maybe Mr. Rushdie, you can help with this.
Okay, my views of acceptance or openness to training for a different generation. If we talk about generational gap, there's always reluctance in terms of when new technologies are being introduced in training. For example, if we do online training and there's a need of tekan link, there's a need of sign up awal, there's a need of download the apps. So the new generations, for them it is as simple as getting their phone and then doing it. But for older generations, it's quite a challenge because they are not used to. Therefore, if we talk about as trainers that conducts the training, the trainings happens not just during the training but also way before the training happens. The setup of the session. If we are doing online training, jangan baru beri link pagi tu. Kesian yang baru yang biasa buka link Zoom and everything, they suddenly tekan Zoom. Lepas itu apa buat? Tekan mute. Apa mute? right? So this kind of things. So it's good as a trainer and also employers, when you melibatkan employers, before the training berlangsung, do a short briefing session on how do you want to use Zoom for training? How do you want to use MS Team for training? Apa button yang terlibat? So do introduction first. Either you want to do it half an hour before the training starts, ataupun you just do the briefing maybe a week before. So work together between TP and also a trainer and also the employer ataupun the client, so that they are given enough time to understand. Right? Again, for all for the older generation, not all men, older generation, when it comes to face-to-face training, you are okay listening to speech ataupun the trainer talking for 8 hours. But the younger generations, they won't like it. They can't stand still because to them it's always moving with fast pace. So as a trainer, it needs to be a good mixture of games. It needs to be a good mixture of lecture. It needs to be a good mixture of movements. It needs to be a good mixture of a lot of methodologies. Slides cannot be full with words. Slides kena ada gambar. Video masukkan. Gunakan lagu. Why? Because psychologically it works your brain. Because your heart rate and everything. If a trainer is knowledgeable, if a trainer has all the skills, competency, so it won't be a challenge if I'm talking from a trainer's point of view. But if you talk about generation, yes, different generation ada different approach that they prefer or different preference. So when we design a training, it needs to cater all, because now yang atas semua yang dah berusia, yang bawah mostly the younger generations, fresh graduate. So we need to see it holistically, cannot focus on one generation sahaja.
All right, just to add on what Rusdi has shared, yeah. If let's say we are targeting the generation like the baby boomers, the alpha generations, like what Rusdi said, we need to get the participant to prepare. Get ready, comfortable with Zoom, the online MS Teams. So instead of just doing a trial, we also can give them a guideline. 1, 2, 3, 4 with screenshot. Tekan ini, you click this button, it represents what? Click this button, represent what? For those who like to read, they will feel comfortable. Once the participants feel comfortable, the mind is open and ready to learn. If they are kanjiong, everything want to click salah, they also very worried to click this. Suddenly they click leave everything to hitam. Hey, how? Then they also cannot learn, panic. So this is how actually as trainer, as TP, we need to actually guide and have a trial sessions before the training. Make the participant have a comfortable, relax to learn. All right? And second, now you see, people workforce, we have working flexi hours, work from homes. So all this training, we also need to change. We cannot always do one day, full day. We can do half day morning or afternoons. We convert our modules and our trainings into different type of things to follow the generations or the employer work style. This is how, as a TP, we cannot remain the same as the last year or the last 5 years. A lot of things we need to improve and change. And last but not least, the younger generations, attention span is too short. You see that they see TikTok, they see Facebook, everything swipe. If the training is the full whole day, attention is only the morning only. So it's much better if you can do a very short bite size, 1 or 2 hours, good enough for them. Once they learn, they will apply, they will try, because they are very, very fast paced. This is how, as a TP, we need to know what is our target group and how we convert our training based on the learner centered. All right? Okay, that's all for me.
Thank you, Mr. Clement and Mr. Rusli. I think the word holistic is something that we can relate much on this generation gap issue. We couldn't see in terms of generation per se, what are the specific needs or specific context of generational weaknesses, or maybe in terms of attention span or whatsoever. But what we can see is we talk about sense, the degree of openness just now. We talk about, we can relate it when we relate with empathy. It's about sense of belonging that we have, because this is our journey together. They are young, maybe we are not belong to the group. but we need them. Of course, we need to train them. We need well-trained people. The word well-trained, we couldn't get without giving training to people. So that is part of what we want. And at the same time, that is our responsibility. So what we do for that, that is another question. So the word empathy, it should come together with the holistic approach just now. So I would say that is kind of a symbiosis of a relationship between all the actor or the people that related in the ecosystem. So let's move to there. We have 2 more questions here from the participants. So for some participants, attending online training makes the learning process is less effective compared to face-to-face. What is your opinion on this? Oh, Mr. Clement.
Maybe I share on this because I talk a lot about digital and online. Okay, yes. Especially if the participants are unable to focus, if the environment of the setup is not convenient. Once we start to do the online training, a lot of employer is not ready. The participants is learning from their cubicle, and beside them is colleagues who are making call, who have meetings. So the noise disturbance is there. So it takes time for employer and for people to know how to set up for a proper environment for learning. If they are learning at a non-conducive environment, the limitation is there. So this is a lot of challenges is there, but it takes time and see how can we adjust, fine-tune, and see how can we make online training the perfect solutions for the environment for the participants, for your learner. Because online training, you have a lot of preparations. We need to see, is it one full day, is it capable for them or not? Because if a normal human being sit in front of a computer for more than 4 and 5 hours, looking at the screen, the eye get tired, fatigue, Zoom fatigue, online fatigue. So this is the times we need to do a lot of energizer, a lot of activities, breakout rooms, stand up, move around, do something. So actually enhance, balance, try to balance the sit down full days, make it half day or maybe 1.5 day, see how it goes. Which one is more suitable for your learner, for the crowds, for the participants? If let's say the full day is too hectic for them, make it half days, continuous for 2 or 3 half-day sessions. So we have to be flexible as a trainer, as a training providers. We cannot say, you must follow us. Now our program designed 2 days, you must continue 2 days Zoom. Participant, you see the second day, masuk dalam pun macam panda. So this is how, as a trainer, we always need to be agile, flexible, to adapt and design, change our design of our content.
Seriously, anything? It seems like you are very much interested to add something.
Adding on to what Clement said, as a trainer or a training provider, we need to be realistic. And as clients who request training as well, we need to be realistic. We know that there are certain things that cannot be done through online. For example, technical courses, when it comes to hands-on, you cannot do it online. So the expectation that we put for online training should not be as the same expectation when it comes to face-to-face training. Therefore, the content should not be the same. Right? And again, when we talk about screen fatigue, right? There are some clients, bolehkah buat training online tapi pukul 9 sampai pukul 5 petang? Trainers will always say, can. Trainers will never say, cannot. Unless they know what's the impact when you do more than 4 hours. Right? So, when we talk about this, is it less effective? Depends on the topic. Depends on the level of competency that you want to put in. Because we need to be realistic. We need to know what can be put in an online session versus face-to-face. So, work together dengan customer ataupun client ataupun employer. Yes, we can do online. We can do 2 days, 4 hours. But content kita kena ubah lah, kita kena kurangkan sikit. We cannot give you the exact same content that we have given to you face-to-face. That's the key here. Be realistic. We need to be accepting lah that it can be as effective, but we need to know what should we put in or how much should we be putting in an online session.
Thank you, Mr. Rusdi. That is very much clear to our mind now. I think the word realistic just now is the key word here. We couldn't go backward. We cannot work backward. If we say that we hate our staff to do things flexibly, so it's very hard now. We couldn't separate technologies. We couldn't stop them from watching TikTok. They are the generation of TikTok and all the social media, everything. So we, in this sense, when we talk about the future of work, it is something, some adjustment and adaptation at our side that we should cater to the situation itself. So from this understanding, I would say it's not only for the tools, methods, the approach of learning or training that we should look into more on in specific, but it's also, it comes to the policy, the practice of work that we should be more open in terms of that. We advocate the what we call it as flexible working. So at the same time, we should encourage flexible learning or flexible training maybe for our staff. So come to the last question. Maybe any of you want to answer? Maybe Mr. Shahrul is the one. Okay, with the list of 21st century skills that can't be replaced by machine.
Okay, thank you. Like I mentioned on my slide tadi, so what is the 21st century skill that can't be replaced by machine? Saya just recap balik. Antaranya contohnya seperti creativity, people management, problem solving, emotional intelligence dan juga negotiating skill. And last but not least, decision making. As we know, kita memang ada teknologi, so, but the technology as a tools. Sebagai contoh saya boleh ambil, kalau kita bagi task pada kita punya trainee untuk buat slide saja, slide for the presentation, slide presentation using PowerPoint ke Google Slide dan sebagainya. What we can see, the result, is it the same? Tak sama kan? Dia punya result tu tak sama. That's adalah kita punya creativity. This, the key point is your creativity. Sebab creativity ni machine dia tak sama dengan creativity yang ada pada kita punya brain, kan? So kita sebagai manusia, kita punya thinking, everyone tak sama. So itu adalah salah satu contoh ataupun antara contoh skills yang memang tak dapat nak digantikan lah, ataupun tak boleh digantikan oleh machine. Yeah, we have a lot of tools, apps. Sebagai contoh, kalau untuk digital content ataupun digital creation, kita ada Adobe Photoshop, Illustrator dan sebagainya kan. Tapi itu just a tool for you to do ataupun memudahkan kita sebagai trainer ataupun trainees untuk melaksanakan kerja atau membuat satu tugasan. Tapi the result ataupun the end product, as we can see, is not same, tak sama langsung kan. So that's my key point lah.
Okay, thank you very much. Yep. I think what we can relate with yesterday's thought sharings from the employer, it's because of what we want. We should make it in line with the changes that happen, and also we should make it come with the aim that the goals that we want. So whatever changes that we are currently adapting or adopting, it is always we go back to what we actually want at the end. Okay, so maybe it seems like we only have like 3 minutes left before we finish our session. So I think as the wrap up, maybe I would like to ask any specific words or specific sentence, the last one for all of the audience from each of our panelists. Mr.
All right.
Clement?
Okay. Okay, one word from me. I believe I just suddenly recall of this the late Steve Jobs, father of Apple iPhones. He always have this quote: "Stay humble, stay foolish." What does it mean? As a trainer, always ask humble for knowledge, humble for skill. No matter how good you are in the industry, always there is better skill and knowledge we need to learn. Stay foolish means always ask. No matter how clever or how good you are, always ask, how can I do better? How can I improve this? This is my last sentence to I share. Thank you.
Okay, as for me, because this is a little bit personal on the Sarawak side of training industry, the word that I would like to use to recap is collaborate creates results. Collaboration creates results. So what I mean by collaboration is not just TP with TP, trainer with trainer, but it's also the ecosystem between TP, client, HRD Corp. Right? So the training industry would cease to exist if there's no levy from the clients. Right? And if there's no levy, means HRD Corp nothing to manage lah. And then for us trainers or TP, we cannot do training because no one wants to pay us. Huh? The other way around, when HRD Corp ada duit, but no TP, no one will run the training. So no increase of competency in terms of employees. So at the end of the day, the collaboration needs to start between trainers, TP, employers, and also HRD Corp, and see how we can actually make, number one, the training industry better. Number two, the future of the state in specific, and future of the country in terms of human capital. Right? Thank you.
Errol?
Okay, last from me, as a trainer lah. So keep go competence. So as a trainer, kita sebagai trainer perlu ada kemahiran ataupun kita perlu competence atau master pada satu-satu bidang yang kita tahu. Dan if you want to go to one skill, so go for it. So saya ambil contoh sebagai saya. My background is academic is engineering in mechanical, but my passion is in cyber security and networking. So I go for it. So if you do with your passion, and then you can get it. So thank you.
Okay, so thank you very much to all our panelists. That is short and very fruitful, I think, very informative. Stay humble, keep learning from Mr. Clement. Let's do it together. Take the opportunity, take advantage from the ecosystem. So we will support each other, we help each other, we will enjoy. We cannot do in micro learning at individual level. We make it in a collective way of learning, and it will make us be inspired all the way to the end. So thank you very much. I think we come to the end of our session of redefine the future-proofing Malaysian training industry. Thank you very much to HRD Corp, and I give back to our beloved MC, Datin Sharifah Syawati. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you to the moderator and all the speakers today. Please give them a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for that future-proofing Malaysia's training industry discussion that was just been concluded. And would you like to just stand so that we can actually take the photo for you on that platform? Kami suka dengar hari ini punya sesi. Apa khabar kita orang? Okay? Well, with that, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of our session. Thank you once again for being here and making today's event a successful one. On behalf of the organizing committee, it has been an honor serving you at the HRD Corp Open Day Sarawak 2022 for the past 2 days. Thank you very much, and please proceed to your lunch at the Grand Boulevard Ballroom. Please kindly proceed. Thank you very much. We wish you a very pleasant day ahead, and see you again soon, inshallah.